Good morning and welcome back. We are having our first conversation this morning and we're starting things off on a high note. We are joined by Chester Williams. He is the Belize Police Department's Commissioner. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, good morning. It's good to be here.
Yes.
Good morning.
My dear brother.
Yes, sir.
It's good to see you. And good morning to your viewers and listeners across the country and those who may be streaming from abroad.
Commissioner, we appreciate having
Like
you
you
on,
ready, man? Like
as
you,
usual.
man.
We only have a short time, sir, so we have to get this in
Then you
as
have
quick
break
as
of breathe,
possible.
man.
In or out, sir. As you see me or give me.
You have to pay dues for that.
Yeah, I
dues
know,
line.
I know. Sir, so let's begin with clearly the conversation of the day is the state of emergency. It has been in effect for little over a week, about 2 weeks now. Speak with us, if you would, about the effect of that and the impact that it has had on quelling the crime situation in Belize City and certain parts of rural Cayo, Ruin Creek, and San Ignacio, and Camalote, sorry.
Certainly, as you had said, that prior to the state of emergency, we had a spate of shootings in Belize City, and that led to the murder of Bobo Lewis from the George Street area. And then we also had in the Cayo district, specifically the villages of Ruin Creek and Camalote, where we had two rivaling groups that were going at each other, and there were a number of shootings. Unfortunately, one person ended up dying as a result of those shootings, and that person happened to be a police officer. And so the SOE was declared to stem the continuance of those violence, and since then I can clearly state that the SOE has been effective. We have seen that the shootings in the declared area of Belize City have subsided tremendously. We're not going to say that the SOE is going to stop all murders from occurring, but the truth is it has slowed down tremendously. And while some might say that despite having the SOE, we still have a murder in the St. Martin's area, if you would have listened to my interview in the aftermath of the SOE, I had said that while the Martin's area was declared, we were not going after those persons in the Martin's area. Because then they were not in the fray of those who were creating the problem in Belize City. So Martin's was untouched. So was Bannock and Bakatong. Those were areas untouched by the SOE. But we had declared them in the event that during the course of the SOE, things would start in those areas. So since then we had the murder of Clay Monsanto in the Martin's area. And so what we did in the aftermath of that is to go after those persons who we believe are behind the murder of Clay Monsanto. And then about 2 nights ago, we had a shooting in the Bannock area. So likewise, we went after those persons in the Bannock area who we believe were involved in that particular shooting. And those people are already in prison. When we look at the Ruin Creek and the Camalote area, the shootings have totally subsided. Since the SOE, there has been no shooting. And the SOE also gave us the opportunity to be able to effectively investigate the murder cases. We have since solved the murder of the police officer in Ruin Creek. And again, the witness was able to come forward to give his statement because he felt confident with the perpetrators being in prison. And that helped us. The same is being done in Belize City. I can say that we have also secured sufficient evidence to arrest the persons who we believe are behind the murder of Lewis. It's just a matter of finding those 2 individuals, but we have sufficient to be able to arrest them. Again, it is because of the SOE. It gives us the opportunity to be able to investigate those persons while they're in prison. That would give the witnesses more confidence to be able to come forward and tell the police what happened in written statements. So it is effective as far as we're concerned.
The criticism is, however, that it is ineffective given the murders that are happening while the SOE is in effect.
I just explained that, Mr. Lopez. I don't know how better you expect me to explain that. SOEs are never going to stop all murders, and I have said to you that the one murder we have had since the SOE occurred in an area where we were not enforcing the SOE. And even if it were that we were enforcing the SOE in that particular area, it is not going to stop everything. As much as Belizeans would like to hype and praise Bukele for what he is doing in Salvador, despite all the efforts that he is doing in Salvador, locking up all the gang members, there are still murders in Salvador. So what makes us think that we are going to be different? I think that we should be grateful to the extent that we are not seeing these shootings occurring as frequent as they were. We are not seeing the murders occurring as frequent as they were. It is something good for us. And I wish the SOE would last longer than a month. I would want to go for 2 or 3 months, because the truth be told is that these young men need to get the message. It cannot be that they believe that, oh, I go and do my nonsense and just go to prison for 1 month and come out back. You need to send a strong signal to them and let them understand. You continue your behavior, this is what is going to get you.
Commissioner, I have 2 main questions that I want to ask you. But the first one that I wanted to ask is the process of the SOE and acquiring these persons that would then be transported to the Belize Central Prison. Are these individuals that would have come in contact with the law in some way or form? How do you know who are the individuals to go and seek to take under the SOE? And also, are there any legalities to it that we might be crossing as it relates to taking a person to prison without having a reason to convict them?
In terms of the process, we have our intelligence people on the grounds from both Special Branch and GI3. Those are the ones who would normally gather intelligence on persons who are involved in gang as well as criminal activities. And so once an SOE is declared, then we would get the list of those persons who we know are actively involved, because it's not just to go after anybody. We try to do it, as Minister explained, based on intelligence. And the truth is, just like how the street knows who are the person committing these acts, the police know. Because the truth is, the street talk. And in some cases, these same young men talk. So we know who the players are, and we try as best as we can to go only after those persons whom we have good intelligence on are involved in these activities. And those are the ones that we would normally pick up and send to prison. Now, on the second tier of your question, the legality of it. The SOE is declared by virtue of a constitutional proclamation, which is signed by the Governor General. The Governor General has that authority under the Constitution of Belize, which says that if it is that there is reason to believe that any person or group of persons are engaged in any act of public that is going to affect public security or safety, that a state of emergency can be declared. The fact that there were these persons who were constantly going at each other, shooting and committing murders, that in the feeling of the right-minded person and the law-abiding persons, it instills some degree of fear in you. Even though you're not a part of the gang, you would still have that fear that you may be passing one day when they're shooting at each other and you might get caught in the midst. So every law-abiding citizen would be fearful of the activities of these gang members. So with that, it was declared, and with the declaration or the proclamation comes a regulation. The regulation is what tells the police exactly how they are to carry out the SOE. And we must ensure we abide by what powers are given to us by the regulation. And as I had said in interviews before, as much as under the regulations we are given wide powers, we have not exercised those powers. We tried as best as we can to allow the law-abiding people to continue to live a normal life, just as if an SOE is not in effect, because it was not declared with intent of impeding the normal life of a law-abiding person. It was declared with intent to go after those persons who we know or we believe are involved in the different activities that were taking place. And again, under the proclamation, it also states that the police can then use the time that these people are in prison to investigate whatever crime it is believed that they had committed. And again, that is what the police is doing. We have the CIB who are looking at the different shootings and murders, and I can tell you we have been able to gather a lot to be able to bring charges against some of those persons under the SOE. And then we have the GI3 who are investigating the gang membership aspect of it. So we are hoping that by the time the 1 month is up, we should be able to bring charges against some of those young men for being a member of a gang.
So the idea is to remove these troublemakers or disruptors of peace within a certain community or society, to carry out investigations that would otherwise be more challenging to do so. My other question is, what happens to the individuals that are taken into custody or sent to the Belize Central Prison? Because while we're able to get some answers on the outside, are we simply just giving them like a timeout, or are they getting certain life skill resources to exit the prison with maybe a different state of mind?
Well, what we want to achieve for sure is to make them, when SOE is over, for them to be able to come back into society with a different mindset. I know some will say that is difficult because they might have that mindset for 2-3 months, and then after they go right back to them to being the person that they want to be, some of them. But what we normally do is that during the time that they are in prison, we use that time to also go and do intervention with them. Mr. Morio, who is the person at the prison, also have sessions with them doing different things. Again, the objective is not to dehumanize them, but mostly to ensure that we try to bring them in line with normal human behavior. And we're hoping that we'll be able to achieve that again.
Sir, for understanding, let's talk about the authority that the state of emergency does afford a law enforcement officer, be it a police officer, a Belize Defense Force soldier. Do they have the authority under the state of emergency to just enter your property? Do they have the authority under the state of emergency to just break down doors and enter homes?
The state of emergency basically suspends some rights of individuals. And under the section that deals with the state of emergency, I'm not sure if it's section 18 of the Constitution, it states what are those fundamental rights that are suspended. One of those is the right to personal liberty, the right to be protected from arbitrary search. Those are suspended. And so yes, the police can enter and search without a warrant. The police can detain you if it is that there is reasonable cause to believe that you are part and parcels of the activity that the police is trying to cure. And so yes, the police can. Now again, the thing with my Belizean people that I love so dearly, and I mean I love the thing, I love my Belizean people so dearly, but I dislike how we behave at times, is that we tend to look externally and we worship and adore what we see people doing externally. And then we say, oh, we want our Prime Minister to be like Bukele and this, that. But our Prime Minister is not even trying to be 1/10 of Bukele, and they're already complaining, right? If you look at what Salvador has done and is doing, It is nothing compared to what we are doing. Nothing. But these are the same people who worship Bukele, love what Bukele did do, and say we should do it the Belize. And the minute we try to do something which is not even close to what Bukele is doing, we are demonized.
Are your police officers going to these homes with warrants for each and every home?
I said just now the police don't need to search.
Oh, I thought I heard you said
No.
they need a warrant.
No.
So the person or the home being searched, do they have a right to ask the officer for anything? I don't know, your name, badge,
There's nothing wrong to exercise common courtesy. For sure, if I were to enter a home to search under a state of emergency, I would exercise common courtesy. I would say, good morning, ma'am, sir, we're here for XYZ, and would like to conduct a search for XYZ. If I was to be asked of a search, I'd say, ma'am, I don't need one at this time because I have a state of emergency. But everybody doesn't know me. And as much as we tried our best to teach our officers to exercise common courtesy, some of them are just not going to do it. They will see that they have the powers, and they will exercise the powers in the most aggressive way that they know, because they may want the persons they're going after to get a strong message from them. But we are all different.
People are saying that in a sense that your police officers are abusing their rights.
This, I think, issue I have with you, Mr. Lopez.
What is that,
Which
sir?
people? You give one story. One story.
I've seen a
But
couple stories. I could reference them for you.
You make it seem as if there are multiple reports of
Some people
police,
just aren't
right now, police abuse. No, I have only heard of two, right? One that was run by you or Channel 5, and one by Channel 7. And in one instant, I saw the lady said that her son-in-law was not on the SOE list. How does she know who is on the SOE list? Was she privy to the list to know whose name appeared on the list? But again, there are always going to be those people who are going to complain, and we have to respect that. I am not going to criticize nobody for coming forward because they are dissatisfied in how the police perform their duties. But equally, I'm not going to condemn the police for what they did, because in both circumstances, I see nothing wrong that the police did.
So how do you view that situation? We're showing there on the screen, and I think we'll bring it up.
I don't have a screen in front of me, so
yeah,
I don't know
well,
what you're talking about.
you'll
And I don't
see
have
one in a
eyes,
few. All right.
Right?
So if you just turn your head to the left or right, don't have to make it that difficult, sir.
What is true?
The situation where a police officer pulls a firearm at an individual that's taking a shower.
So, are we
The man naked, sir.
Are we going after priests and nuns? Or are we going after persons who are accused of being involved in shootings and murders? We have to be real. The police have a right to defend themselves. And who said that one man who is involved in shootings might not go take a shower with a gun in it? He don't know when the enemy will come out. Huh? So he might also take a shower with a gun in the shower. If the police enters and the police have a gun and the police warn the person, police hands up, whatever, then you comply. There is nothing on that man that the police don't have. What is there to hide? I'm a woman, I understand. It's a different story.
Moving into other areas of the country, Commissioner, that we have been seeing a spike in crime. We had you on the newscast last night talking about crimes taking place in the rural areas of the country. Let's talk a bit about the difference between those forms of violence that are taking place versus urban Belize City.
Yes, rural Belize, the River Valley area has become a pain. For quite some time now, there exists a rivalry between the young men of three villages. That is Doublehead, Bermudan Landing, and Lemonal. And that rivalry have now led to the death of one individual, and we have also seen where several persons have been injured, including Holy Saturday at the horse race, where a young man was chopped. There have been a lot done by the police. I have been fed with a number of information from the chairman of Doublehead, as well as other persons in the area who have told me not to disclose their identity. And whenever these informations are obtained, I would normally send them to the police, to the commander in rural Belize, to ensure that proper police follow-up is done to address the issue. I know that on occasions they had interventions with different parties from the feuding fractions, but the issues persisted between them.
Is the nature of the rivalry gang-related? Is it a formation of a new gang?
It has to be, they are operating as a gang, or as gangs, so it has to be looked at in, from that perspective. And what we're doing now is that we brought in all the parties. Well, we're trying to bring in all the parties, but the group from Lemonal was absent from the intervention we had on Sunday. And so we're going to be coming back to the table on Thursday. We're hoping to have all the groups present, and we'll be able to have a more fruitful intervention. But in the time being, we have to look at how we're policing the area. I can see where there is huge deficiency in the police performance, in how the police have addressed the issue, how the police have addressed complaints coming from members of the different fractions. I believe that had the police done what needed to have been done with every incident, we would not have reached where we are now. But again, many of the police officers in the area are from that particular area. Right. They are too acquainted, they are too familiar, they are family members, and so they are impotent in the performance of their duties.
I was going to ask that, Kompol, if your view is that these officers are too community-oriented, because...
Not too community-oriented, too friendly,
too friendly,
because
there's a conflict of interest.
When you're in a rural, anywhere in rural Belize, the dynamics is different than in Belize City, and you get friendly, the village is small, the community is small, and you know everybody. But I'd like your assessment on a dynamic in crime that we're seeing now more than we've seen before, at least based on my assessment. And that seems to be crimes motivated, triggered by jealousy, triggered by passion. We've seen several instances just this year alone.
Yeah, over 70% of the murders we have had this year are as a result of jealousy. Men coming to kill the current boyfriend of their exes. That is a problem. I don't know how we're going to address that one. But seemingly we have a number of weak men who just don't know to let go of their exes, and it is creating a problem. I think that there needs to be something done, and earlier I heard your co-host mentioning about having a show on how to let go of relationships. I don't know to what extent that is going to work. But young men need to be spoken to really understand that if you and your ex done, and when it is time for her to move on, then you must allow them. And in many of these instances, you will find that the ex-boyfriend don't move on, you know. He don't move on and don't have the next girl, but he just don't want the woman find somebody and move on. My thing is that you kill the man dead, you go to jail, the woman is still looking for the next man. So what sense does it make? What do you achieve from doing that? Nothing, you know.
Yeah.
Are these type of crimes often easier to investigate in terms of are there witnesses coming out?
Yes, they are more easier to investigate, and if you would see that our detection rate for these type of murders is almost 100%.
Why is that the case?
Because there's always a witness, so it's more easier to detect. But we rather it not happen, right? It's I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's too much. Yeah.
Commissioner, as we wind down the conversation, I want to
I'm
extend...
not winding down, I'm sitting down.
As we sit down and wind down, I want to give you a final opportunity to share some last words with our viewers.
Yeah, I want to say thanks for the opportunity to come on the show. I think that the conversation is timely. There are things occurring within the country, and as a police department, people expect that we will be able to respond and restore that sense of safety and security that they are accustomed to, and we're doing just that. We met yesterday at NSC, and the Prime Minister have agreed that we're going to get vehicles for the rural area. Again, that's one of the huge issue that the villagers are complaining of, that there is no police mobility, poor police response, and so we'll be getting vehicles to police the rural area, and that's a huge plus for us. It goes to show the government commitment in making sure that they do what needs to be done to secure our people. I want to say thanks to my commanders across the country. I know that it has been a really rough year for all of us, but they have been there, they have withstood the test of time, making sure that they do what needs to be done in restoring normalcy in their respective areas. And while the Belize district is the hot area, I can say proudly the commanders in the south, the north, and the west, they're doing their best to hold up in those areas, and thanks to them and the officers who works under their command, making sure that our crime fighting strategy is executed to its fullest. And that's the reason why we're seeing reductions across the country where major crime is concerned. Murders are up, yes, but overall major crime is down. And we're hoping that we will be able to level off with the murder count by the end of the second quarter, and that's our objective to work on. Thanks likewise to the Belizean people for their patience, for allowing us in their homes, for giving us information. Every information that is fed to us goes a very long way in making sure that we keep our country safe.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Commissioner, for stopping by and sharing with us an update as it relates to crime in Belize and, of course, what is being done with the Belize Police Department. Thank you.
Thank you, too.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, the conversation switches into Gales Point nomination community alongside Nitch. Stay with us. We'll be right back.